Hey guys, welcome to 6 Minutes for Wednesday, August 3rd. I'm Jason Fulmore, SE Wrestle, and today I had the opportunity to talk with Fargo runner-up Dasia Yearby of South Carolina. But before I get to that, I wanted to make sure that all the high school coaches out there know that I put a place on the website, a spot on the website that does need a password. So make sure you send me an email or a direct message. And hopefully it's that's where I'm going to host all the links and to the hammers and different things this year. So really would like to promote your programs. Make sure that you get that information or send me a message so I can give you that password. As for Dasia, she ran to the Fargo finals, and we talk a little bit about that, her preparation and heading to Fargo, South Carolina girls wrestling in general, as well as where she'll be wrestling next year, which is at Limestone. So here is my conversation with Fargo runner-up Dasia Yearby. All right, I'm here today with Dasia Yearby. Dasia, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. How was the trip back from Fargo back home? I know you were traveling. I didn't get a chance to catch you before you left.
It was fine. It was fine. We stopped and got a hotel instead of going straight, so that was nice.
Okay.
And then besides that, we didn't really have any delays or anything, so we were good to go.
That's good. That's good because I talked to a few people on the way up who seemed to be flying all over the place and delayed and so on and so forth. So big trip to Fargo. You walked in this year as a returning All-American, but you pretty much dominated all the way to the finals. What was kind of the mindset coming in, knowing that you'd been there on the podium before?
Well, really, for me, when I go to nationals, like obviously I want to win the tournament, but it's kind of just an expectation for myself that I'm going to All-American. So it was really just like I'm really like shaky and nervous and like really focused up until I All-American, and then like I can open up and do like more technical wrestling and stuff. But since I've been doing nationals since like sixth or seventh grade, I've only not All-American once. So it's like, oh, it's a really, really big deal. It's a really, like, to me personally, it's important to me. And then also I ended up bumping up a weight class. So I had something to prove to myself and also kind of like my parents because they were a little bit nervous about it. And I actually ended up surprising myself with being capable of more than I thought I was going to end up doing.
Well, you dominated early. I mean, you had like 3 falls, a superior decision. I mean, it looked like you were on a roll really early in the tournament, not even thinking about making the podium. You looked like you were, very focused on making all the way to the finals. Was there any nerves that there were in the early part of the tournament at all?
Oh, for sure. I definitely do. And that's every tournament, like nationals, but even smaller tournaments. It's never really something, I don't think you outgrow it. It's just you more so learn how to like channel it. I know my coaches are like talk to me a lot about how nervousness and excitement show up the same in your brain. So if you can like switch it to being excited about the match instead of nervous, it won't hinder you as much. But for me, I personally have a routine that I do, especially in nationals, that I follow like very strictly, which really helps me with my nerves.
Do you want to share?
Okay, so I really and it kind of like it doesn't really it occasionally changes, but I have like 3 songs that I will pick over the tournament. So there's one song that you play like throughout the day of the tournament, like you're only listening to this song.
Okay.
And then when you start warming up for the match, you play a different song. Okay, and these songs like all change to like match different parts of my life. Like I can see how it's changed over time.
Uh-huh.
So you have that you warm up to, and then the match before, when you're in the hole, like you take the earbuds out, and then you get ready on your own, and you're by yourself. And then at that point, I'm not really the type of person that likes to be talked to before matches or like touched. Like I'm really, really focused, and it makes me feel really nervous. Like when people like start talking to me.
Yeah, so I'm actually glad you brought that up because I don't know if you noticed me out of the corner of your eye as you were preparing for your finals match, and I saw you really focus in, especially in the match before your finals match. You you were by yourself. You were off to the side. You were paying attention to that match, but you were just kind of you seemed like you were really zoned in and trying to prepare for your finals match.
Yeah, and especially at Fargo. I mean, Fargo is by far my like favorite tournament of all time. But with this being my third time competing and my fourth time going, I kind of like know what I have to do. So as soon as the lights dim down, like I just really, like I said, I'm not the type of person to be talking to my coaches a lot. I really just sit by myself. I meditate, honestly. Like
Mm-hmm.
I sit down. Like it's actually funny. I have a picture of me like staring up at the ceiling, like every tournament that I've been to before the placement matches. But it's really I don't know. I guess it's just the part where it's like you wrestle when you wrestle, you're alone.
Yeah.
Like and I need to be by myself.
All right. So describe to me, you're walking up, you're the final match of junior women, walking up onto the stage. What's going through your mind?
Um, really nothing, to be
Nothing.
honest with you.
Okay.
There's nothing up there. Because because I've learned over time that even though like yes you are on a big stage, at the end of the day it's just a wrestling mat.
Right.
So that's how I have to think of it to myself. Like I kind of zone everything out. Like I do the same things every match. I'm not going to change my style based on who it is. Like I might watch film and like watch out for what they're doing, but I'm not going to change my style. Where I am isn't going to change who I am as a wrestler. Like the
Right.
outcome isn't going to change anything about me. Especially this year. This year I felt super secure about it because at the end of the day, I mean, I decided to go to this tournament 3 weeks before it happened. So I had 6 practices before that, and I like I was already really proud of myself, and I signed to a college already. Like
Right.
end of the day,
This was just a
it's for
cherry on
me.
top of the cake or
Yeah,
whatever the case was.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just for me. So I went out there and really like my little prayer before every match was I just wanted to wrestle in a way that would have made younger me proud. Like I really feel like younger me like would just be so in awe of where we're at right now.
Yeah.
And so I just really want to honor like the sacrifices and the work she put in when she was younger. I just really wanted to like
That's cool.
make her proud.
Yeah, that's awesome. So take me through the finals match because you had what is it Eliana Bomarito? Is that right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So you had her in the finals. You gave up four at the very beginning, and then you got four and took her to her back, and and then it didn't end up happening, and then you ended up losing by fall. But it was kind of a wild first minute of what was going on in that turn in that match. Do you remember any of it, or can you describe any of it?
Yeah. So when the match started, let me just say this. I was not afraid of her, but I was not naive to think that she like to not notice like how much like bigger than me she was. And this is the only time in the tournament where I was like, dang, I bumped up a weight class. Like this was the only the only time I was like, maybe like, all right, these girls like that. I'm not saying. All right, so we get in, and she's just so astronomically strong. Like she's a great wrestler on her own, but like her strength and her height are like it's crazy. Because at this point, the first throw I did, honestly, that was on me. Like that was really trash, and I probably should have just stepped out. Whatever. But the second time I threw her, I really didn't even plan on like my game plan going into that wasn't doing throws or really the whole tournament, even though that's what I ended up doing. It was just to
Right.
keep good positioning. But to be honest with you, I was already falling over. Like she was like running through me, and I was like, well, I might as well. At this point, like I'm already on my way down. I might as well try it. And
Yeah.
then I ended up getting it, and I got the chicken wing, and then it got called for potentially dangerous, and then that's why we stood up.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, when you reflect back on not just this tournament, but when you reflect back, because that was your last like match as a high schooler, like what and I think you can bring in the context of where you started, and you talked a little bit about this previously to where you are now. Kind of reflect on what that growth has been like for you, whether it's been technical or in your mind or in your confidence? What does that look like?
Well, there are different steps to it. Like I feel like the first time I really grew as a wrestler, well, obviously I started at Hillcrest with youth wrestling. So that was a cool experience because I was really accepted there. Like to be honest with you, in terms of like teams and coaches, I've gotten really lucky in terms of not having people that are hating on me and like going against me. So that's nice. But like
Hmm.
seventh, eighth grade, I was in this club called the Cave, and Trent Goodell ran it, and it was him and a bunch of East Side kids and like kids scattered. Like it was East Side and BHP, like really were the main two schools. He's since moved back to Iowa, but the first summer I trained there, I just made like leaps and bounds as a wrestler. And then after that, like over time, my technique has gotten better since I met my other coaches, Rich Manning and Brandy Green, who will be my college coach eventually. Um, but really, a big thing for me was like the mentality of not being afraid and being aggressive. Like I still definitely could be more aggressive, but I used to be really, really passive, like
Hmm.
really, really passive. Like the way that I hand fight now, which is really like a big part of my wrestling game. But the way I am now to the way I was, like that really took a lot of like drawing out of me and learning to be unafraid. And I feel like a big part of that that people don't talk about in freestyle, especially, is like body language during the match. Like
Hmm.
not only does it affect how other people are seeing you, but it really affects how like you feel in yourself.
Hmm.
So it's like when you're taking the break, you want to be the first one back, or like.
Hmm.
And I tell people like if I could describe my wrestling style, I would say it's annoying. Like I'm really doing everything in my power to annoy you. Like at the end of the day, we get up, we're going back to the circle. I'm taking up the whole square. Like you have no space. Like where the red and the green line are, I'm like directly in the middle of it.
Right.
You're on the outskirts of the
You're gonna have to
circle.
push me off of it.
Yeah,
You're like,
like until the ref says something to me, it's like borderline. Like if someone did it to me, I would be pissed off. That's how I like at the end of the day. And then just like being like super stubborn about like every single point.
yeah.
And then this sounds like really evil. But I have this like thought in my mind, like in a close match, like after I score and secure it, and I tell people this and look at me kind of crooked. I'm like, I don't want to win a match. Like I want to like discourage them. I want to promote women's wrestling. I think more women should wrestle. But when you step on the mat with me, I want to like hurt your feelings. I don't want it to
Right.
be close. And when I score, I'm going to score again, just because I know how it feels when it happens. I'm trying to do that to you. I want to not only score, I want to discourage you from doing it again.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally understand that. That's certainly a mentality, and it's probably, um, it's something that I think is kind of is learned over a period of time. When I wrestled, it wasn't something I started with, but it was a mentality I had by the end of my career and that sort of thing. So, one thing before we go to Limestone, I wanted to ask you about was, I think Eliana held up a sign about, the increase in women's the weight class at the international level, and the importance of doing so, because right now the weight class is it 90 kilos or is it 75 kilos?
So she actually was talking about college wrestling, but
Mhm.
they do need to raise it internationally as well. The highest international weight class is 167.6, and the
Yeah,
highest college weight class is 191.
yeah, and that's crazy, isn't it? So
Yeah.
yeah, so how how do we go about doing that? How do we battle that, and having those conversations? I mean, because that's your weight class. That's something that you're paying very close attention to.
Yeah. Well, firstly, let me just say I am wrestling 91. Like I'm so glad to be on the face of that petition they made. But just to be clear, like I am wrestling 91.
I got you.
That was just like an emergency situation, like that
Right,
happened there.
right. But I mean, there
Yeah,
are
but it's
girls, there are women that are, that
yeah,
like
but it is my
Ileana are big.
yeah, but it is my area. But I would just say it's simply doing it. It's putting women who know what they're talking about in positions of power to help make those decisions. Like the NCAA board that I know my coach is on, the rest of the people on there are pretty much men. And not only that, like I'm not going to name drop people, but the
Yeah.
way they act is absolutely ridiculous. Their mindset of it is that girls that are over 200 are not athletic enough to deserve a college opportunity, which is just not correct at all. Just because there's so many different circumstances, because you cannot just generically say if you're over 200 pounds you're unathletic when you have a guys division that the top weight class is 285. First
Right.
of all, second of all, you can see that these girls are athletic because we literally exist. You can't look at Eliana Bonmarito and be like, she does not deserve a college opportunity.
Well,
Who are you to say that?
and your finals was awesome. The finals between the two of you was fantastic. I think it was a very good example of why you need that weight class.
Yes, it's who are we to say they don't deserve an opportunity? And why do we have people in positions of power that are in it for the wrong reasons? Because this goes back to like my coach, Brandy Green, who's formerly Brandy Rosenbrock. When she would go to these international tournaments, she was telling me stories about, I mean, we've come far, but we have to go farther. But
Yeah.
let me explain. She would go to these international tournaments, and there would literally be, at the end of the tournament, they would have a beauty pageant where the referees would vote on who they thought the most attractive girl in the tournament was.
What?
Yes. Like, end of the day, people just don't want to see bigger girls in wrestling. And when you talk about that, when people are like, oh, they shouldn't add it, like, why? Why? But the only like semi-valid argument for that is they don't have a higher international weight class, but they should be adding a higher international weight class.
Yeah,
like
that's not an
the
argument.
US is extremely influential in wrestling. Like we've been on the up and up in terms of dominating these tournaments. I think it's ridiculous to say that if we don't take that step first, someone wouldn't follow us.
I agree. All right, so let's transition to the last question, which has to do with Limestone. Why Limestone, and what can we expect to see from not only you but maybe the Saints this coming year?
Well, okay, let me see. Let me start with why limestone first. Firstly, it just a big thing for me is I always work towards a college education that I'm not going to go super into debt for, so that was a big thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, they have an honors college, which was really important to me. Like the integrity of my coursework and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. And then thirdly, it really was just the team and the coaches. Brandy has been my coach like pretty much since I started freestyle like 5 or 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And me as an athlete, it just is really important to know me because I have certain things that just don't work. Like the yelling at me doesn't
Mm-hmm.
work. Like I'm the type of athlete that needs to feel safe and nurtured, which sounds kind of like needy, but it's not. I just like it's just the intention of trusting like why you're yelling at me and trying to help me. Because if I feel like I can't trust the coach, I'm not like if I can't feel like I have respect for you in your coaching, it's just not going to work.
Yeah.
And Brandy has shown over and over again that not only does she care about me, but she knows what she's talking about technically. She's never led me astray once, ever, ever.
Right.
Like she's never slipped up. And then it's just we are really close. And then also the girls on the team, because Brandy was my national team coach before, like I've pretty much grown up around this team since it started. So a lot of these girls I'm already friends with, I already have established relationships, and I feel like going into that environment is going to be best for me because I know I'm around people that genuinely care about me, and if I need help, I have help.
Cool. Yeah. So what can we expect from Limestone this year?
So I know as a team, Brandy was saying we're going for top 6 or 7 this year. I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure which one exactly, but me personally,
Yeah.
I will be all Americaning, bare minimum. Like I said, that's kind of an expectation for me. Like when I was talking to Brandy about it, she asked me if that was a goal, and it just like consciously in my mind, it's I don't know how to say like it's not a goal, like it is a goal, but it's more of an expectation that I'm going to All American. Like I don't feel entitled to it, but I'm gonna make sure it happens. And
Cool.
then I really want to go particularly top 4. And then I feel like next year, once I'm more on my feet, I'll start going for like national championship.
All right. So, is there anything I didn't ask you that I should have asked you?
Um, I don't think so. Uh, Promote SC girls wrestling. Because we're not sanctioned yet, and that's pretty pathetic considering states that literally did not have wrestling now.
I agree.
Um, and I feel like if you have a chance to promote and uplift a female wrestler, do so.
Absolutely. 100%. And I'm 100% behind you on the. I mean, if you look at South Carolina girls and nationals and everything else, you guys excel, and the fact that it's not sanctioned yet in South Carolina is a bit surprising. So, 100% behind you as far as that should be the first thing. That should be something we do immediately. So, well, I want to thank you for taking the time, and congratulations on a runner-up spot. I know you wanted that title and that sort of thing, but you wrestled, man, like I said before, it was a great finals match. It was fantastic to watch you compete, and I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, of course.
All right, you take care.
All right, bye.
Bye.